It's not always about the latest and greatest, as fun as that is. There's also a need to recognize that the average hunter is not a YouTube celebrity, a TV celebrity hunter. They are not a sponsored person. They don't have an unlimited budget. Hey folks, welcome back to Bolts and Brass. Today we are talking about new hunters and what gear you absolutely need for going deer hunting. And this assumes you're doing a rifle. This assumes you don't already own the rifle. And this assumes that you're going with somebody who is providing information on where to go, a spot, meaning they've got a blind or a tree stand for you, and they're going to help you in and out so you don't need a GPS or a map or compass, all that jazz. So this is just your personal hunting gear. How much? What do you need? Now, you probably, if you're watching my channel, you very well already own the rifle. Pretty much anything that is suitable for deer will work. Average shots nationwide are 25 yards for deer, okay? Most of the longer shots are in the Southwest, and you're talking big open terrain where you can't get closer. There, absolutely, you're going to want something with an optic. You're going to want something that shoots a little flatter to give you an advantage. Do you need it? No. For my purposes on here, I picked a Ruger American, and I believe the only one that was available at my local Cabela's to put down for a price was 6.5 Creedmoor, but generally speaking, for prices, I picked 308 scope. You don't really need one. Iron sights work if you're using a rifle that's suitable for them and has them. Your main criteria with a scope is something that is suitable for use in lower light and mixed conditions. Low magnification scope with an illuminated reticle. If I was still back in the Northeast, honestly, a 2x or a 3x prism optic, absolutely great. That is, it's going to look funny on your bolt action rifle, but in terms of what kind of optic you really need, perfect. I think a lot of people over magnify. More magnification makes it harder to find your target when you bring up the rifle. You don't have all day to bring up the rifle and get on target. That deer is going to see your movement. You're going to make noise. It's out of there. I have $300 or $400 on here, along with Loctite, which is priceless. You can spend more, and if you were going to spend more on the rifle and optic combo, I would spend it on the optics. The rifle, that $450 Ruger American is everything you need. There is nothing you're going to effectively improve on your hunt by spending more money on the rifle. It may be cooler, you may like it more, you may want it, but in terms of hunting results, you're good. If you're out in the Southwest or in the Midwest, you may want a rangefinder. If you're not going to be shooting more than a couple hundred yards, screw the rangefinder. Absolutely irrelevant. If you zero your rifle properly, you are basically going to put the crosshairs on target and pull the trigger. That's it. Your height above and below your crosshairs for your shot trajectory is not going to be significant enough to worry about. Ammo, unfortunately, is crazy expensive right now. Hunting ammo in particular is expensive. I put down 4 boxes, and that's 2 boxes to get that new optic sighted in on a new rifle, and 2 boxes of hunting ammo to make sure you can get your zero, get used to that ammo a little bit, and have enough for the hunt. Because you're going to go several times, you probably have multiple deer tags. It is what it is. You'll need a few shots, right? $140 is actually pretty reasonable for that. If you already owned the rifle, you already had ammo for it, you were just buying a couple boxes of hunting ammo, you might get away with $80 or $90, but hunting ammo was $30 to $60, and this $30 stuff was pretty shitty. Spend the $45 to $60 for quality ammo. I suggest a sling, but if you were hunting in a blind, you probably don't need it, but it's nice to be carrying the rifle in that way. You should have one. I didn't include that in the price, though. I do think that's optional. Jacket, pants, and a hat. Even if you're hunting in an environment where you don't really need gloves, you don't really need winter gear, jacket, hat, and gloves, because it's going to be early morning and early evening, and physical discomfort due to the elements is the fastest way to ruin a hunt. A day in the woods where you don't ever get a shot on a deer was still a pretty good day as long as you aren't miserable. If you are cold, wet, getting wind chill, and otherwise miserable from the weather, it's a bad hunt. $300 for those. Keep in mind that you want to layer. So if you need to take off that jacket, consider what's underneath. If you're in an environment where you don't even need a jacket, consider what your base layer is, because you may, as the morning goes on, take off layers. Gloves, if you do need gloves, $30 to $60. I highly suggest getting waterproof ones and buy quality. Cabela's had $60 Gore-Tex thin hunting / shooting gloves that would work perfectly. Are they going to hold up long term at that price point? Probably not. But are they good enough for this job? Yes. Boots, I suggest not using your work boots. I suggest not using your hiking boots. I suggest buying something specific to the task. And the reason for that is we sweat in our boots and we don't wash them. You don't want to go out there in boots that stink to high heaven of human. You don't want the animals to know you're there. And if your boots stink, to them, you may not even notice, but to them, you're busted. $50 to a couple $100. I saw plenty of options in the rubber muck boots and hunting boots in the $75 range. A flashlight and a headlamp. And my only criteria here, it has to be dimmable. It has to have a mode that is very low output, and it has to have the ability to turn off and back on and still be in that low output mode. You're going to need 2 lumens or even less, way more than you're going to need 200 lumens. $20 each seems about right. If you buy cheaper, they tend to not hold up, and they tend to not have that feature. Other than that, don't forget the legal requirements. Hunting license or permit, whatever they want to call it, and a hunter safety class. If you are new to this, you need to have hunter safety class. And figure on $40 to $50. That's a pretty typical cost, including the paperwork fees. So factor that in. And then the hunting license. Deer isn't usually an extra endorsement. You just need the basic hunting license. Texas is $25. Connecticut was usually about that, if I remember correctly. Pennsylvania, I seem to recall being roughly the same. Check your state. Get it. Don't do this under the table. Don't try to play games with it. It's not expensive. Add that into your price. Just do it. All this came to about $1,700, which, as a starting point, is pretty reasonable. I know people who spent $1,700 on the rifle and did not get a deer. I think this is important. I think that the industry as a whole is starting to take a step back and recognize that it's not always about the latest and greatest, as fun as that is. That there's also a need to recognize that the average hunter is not a YouTube celebrity, a TV celebrity hunter. They are not a sponsored person. They don't have an unlimited budget. The average hunter cannot afford to spend $2,000 every year on the latest stuff, or $10,000. So anyway, take care, have fun, stay safe, y'all. Keep hunting.